This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The garden party.
Welcome back to the garden party. It is Tuesday, everybody. I am Texas Garden Guy. Welcome to the garden party. We got a fun-filled episode. I gotta move my little screen over so I can see the chat. If you are in the chat with me right now, look over to the right. You can see people will be asking questions and comments during the live. We got a fun-filled episode. Des is out. She has got the flu. So thoughts and prayers out to Des. Hopefully she gets to feeling better, but she will be back in January. Well, we got my configliere, Mr. Phil's Figs. How are you doing, brother?
What up, everybody? It's your favorite plant parent and regular parent, juggling the two and propagating and getting ready to propagate, I should say. I got some cool Frankenstein setups this year.
Exciting. I see. I don't think of propagation season like winter. Like I think of like propagation like early spring. Like I don't know, but you're the expert. But you do all your propagations pretty much in winter.
It's just the excitement. Everybody gets so excited, and then it gets earlier and earlier every year, like Christmas season. And so people are like, "When's it happening? When's it happening?" I'm like, soon. And then I'm like, "Let's just do it now. Everyone's doing it now. Let's ride the wave." And you can certainly do it now, but
plus people can buy cuttings for Christmas as well.
Yeah, that's true too. But my goal is like I want the cuttings to be good and the trees to be ready. You know, you just want it to be all ready. So it's a fun.
I love it, dude.
Walk.
Absolutely.
Well, sort of like Black Friday. It keeps getting earlier. The sales every year. That's what the fig cutting season is like to me. Like I see cuttings for sale earlier every year.
Or the Christmas aisle at Walmart.
And yeah. But, you know, we're just kind of fig cutting season all year round, like those all year round Christmas stores. But I actually had a conversation. I was talking to Anthony, Millennial Gardener. We were talking about this because we were nearby, and we were like, you know, there's a really good guy, Harvey, in Figaholics, and he's outside Sacramento. So he's just got perfect fig climate, but he waits till like February even. And February is kind of a really nice time to for fig propagation because it eases you right into spring because it takes about 3 months, you know. But my big thing too is the way I'm harvesting the cuttings, I can store them for like months at a time.
Yeah.
So air film, like wax tape and a nice saran wrap, and they can just stay there for months. So
nice. We all heard him already, Mr. Josh Gardens. What's going on, Josh? The Plant Techie. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to figure out how I can fit more citrus into my garage. I keep buying more. Like if I just buy too many, then I'll be forced to get a greenhouse next year. It's sort of my theory. Like if I just keep going. So I got another kumquat, and there's an orange quat I haven't had yet. So it's sort of a mix between an Owari Satsuma and a Meiwa kumquat, and it's an orange quat. So I was like, I saw it. I got it for Christmas.
That sounds delicious.
Well, you're the king of the hybrids. You're like the king of the hybrids, man. You got like one of everything.
I have
you gotta have all the quats.
Got a lot.
All the quats.
All the quats.
The quat plot.
My goal is to have the tree of 40 types. I'm up to 11 on my Frankenstein tree, and every year I add 3 or more. So if I can get to 40, it would be like a record.
It's actually surprising that you don't have a greenhouse. Like that's pretty wild, actually.
Yeah. I really need one. In fact, I almost got one for Christmas, but I researched myself out of it because I was like, "There's so many." I had decision paralysis, so I'll need your advice on a good one.
I have advice for that though, because you can always start with something and level up as you go. If you all about the foundation, you start with a really good foundation, so you set yourself up for success. Whatever you want to do later, man.
Okay. I'm my third greenhouse, third iteration.
Wow.
We got a returning guest, Mr. Vikram, the plant prof. How are you doing, dude?
Good. I'm trying to share. I'm distracting because I'm trying to share the video, the stream, all the places. Apparently I've never used a technology, like any kind of technology, ever before.
And I just got a notification that I guess StreamYard's got bought by a parent company, and so like starting in January, it's going to be turning into something else, like Bent Spoon or something like that. So I don't think it'll affect our layout or anything. But so it's different. So it might be something with that as well.
Hooray. Well, I just got a new little recording space set up. I've been making like online content for about 10 years, and I've always just recorded wherever.
The backdrop.
Got a little backdrop. I had a little backdrop, but finally I've got an internet working in my basement and got some of my instruments hung up. Got a cool picture up here that my friend took of a saguaro at night.
Yeah.
Put this up here. My friend Olivia, who actually was a student that just graduated recently. I don't know, well, you can see that.
I love
and that was lit by a public bathroom. So the door was open in the bathroom, and she did the long exposure thing, and it actually it's killer.
I saw some graphic the other day. It was talking about saguaro. How do you actually pronounce it? Is it saguaro?
Saguaro.
How old they are? Like those really big ones are so freaking old. They're like 100 and something years old.
Yeah, they can live like 350 or 400 years. Like they live a long time.
Wow. I'm gonna go see them.
Some of them will go like 100 years before they ever put up an arm. So by the time you see, not all of them, some of them will go faster than that, but those like big ones that have like a dozen arms and are 20 feet tall, like they're old.
Do y'all have those in Lubbock?
No, we have one in our greenhouse, but we don't. It's too cold here.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Have you seen them out in Arizona? Where like I went from Phoenix up to
Phoenix, Arizona,
up to the mountains. I forget the town. It's a famous town. I'm totally blanking.
Flagstaff.
It might be Flagstaff. Yes, and you hit the freeze line when you're going up in elevation, and all the saguaro just like disappear.
Yeah,
there's like a line.
And probably every year it gets further and further, because it's getting colder. It seems like it,
And they're protected, right? Just like Joshua trees, so you can't take them down.
Josh flexing right now.
Are they really?
Man, yeah, I think they are.
I believe it. I think they're protected. So are the fill trees.
The fill trees?
Well, he has the Joshua trees.
But is yours a YouTube album?
Oh my god, I didn't even catch it. I didn't even catch it.
Like a philodendron. You need to like have your own philodendron.
Wait, are we doing dad jokes tonight?
Already, dude.
Only always.
Oh my god,
Matt! I hope you came with some.
Yeah, well, Matt, welcome to the garden party, man. Sorry it took 7 minutes to introduce you.
All good.
You see how the tangents go off, but real quick, we got Matt Borden on. Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do and who you work for and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You and Josh met.
No, it's great to be here. I met Josh at the Charlotte Garden Club meeting a couple of weekends ago. It was fun, good group. So I'm a plant pathologist, research scientist for Bartlett Tree Experts, the lab side of the company. So I work at our big arboretum just on the south end of Charlotte, North Carolina. So straddling zone 8A. We've got about 33,000 accessioned plants there. But my job's kind of fun. I get to travel all over the eastern side of the country, from Florida up through New England, helping folks with tree and shrub issues, consulting for our arborists. And then what I really enjoy doing is like pest management recommendations. So do a lot of work helping put together, IPM plans, select the right fungicide for the right disease in the right location, pouring through labels, all that tedium, but it's good work. So yeah, I love helping people with plant problems. I love photographing plant problems. Nothing gets me excited like a rust out in the field somewhere. So, that kind of thing. But it's good to hang out with you all. Thanks for letting me hang out.
So,
stoked.
So Bartlett's a pretty big company, I guess. It's the whole Eastern Seaboard.
Multinational, actually.
Oh, really?
We have something like 133 offices currently. I think there's maybe like a dozen in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe less. But we got I think 13, 14 in the UK, one in Ireland. Then all over, I think 25, 26 states here stateside. So yeah, it's a pretty good sized arboriculture company. I think we're up there in the top 3 with Davy and maybe one other. Yeah.
Wow.
And your training center, it's here in Charlotte, right? Like that's the largest location.
Yeah, we have 3 arboreta actually, but this is by far our largest arboreta. So we've done a lot of training here historically. And this site was selected for the range of trees and shrubs that can grow in this climate. So it's a nice spot. We've got pretty much anything you can think of that you can grow in this climate. Not enough fruit trees, though, Josh.
No, when I visited, I was sort of disappointed. The espalier trees was the only one I was like, oh, there's some over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you work in the plant pathology lab though? Like you work in the lab, like you get samples in and you also travel out and check on stuff?
Yeah, so I don't do that anymore. We actually have a separate diagnostic lab that's USDA certified that gets all the plant samples in. That's a enormously high volume lab. I used to work in there a little bit. That's really cool work too. My work is mainly field based or office based. So either emails or going out to the field to look at stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, the diagnostic lab is really cool too. If you've never had the chance to tour a diagnostic lab, that's a neat place to visit and hang out and talk to the entomology folks, talk to the pathology folks, the nematology folks. Yeah, cool stuff. So we've got a fully functional diagnostic lab from microscopy to molecular, the works.
Oh my gosh,
Very
Matt!
cool.
My brain is just like, it's awesome you're in Charlotte because I'm down here in Wilmington, North Carolina,
Nice.
and I think you guys have an office here.
Yeah.
So come down here, get rid of my nematodes first off. Second off, get rid of some of my fig borers. But dude, that's really cool. I'm excited to get into it with you.
Yeah.
I got an opportunity to go do a tour at A&M at their Texas plant clinic, and it's one of the biggest ones like in the state. It was all about oak wilt. Like 9 out of 10 samples were testing for oak wilt. That's a big thing here. Yeah. But I'm guessing you work with like a lot of the I don't know. Would you work with extension agents, or are you working with customers specifically?
Primarily working for our arborists, but just by the nature of the job, the plant pathology world, plant health world is pretty small. So just by the very nature, I do a lot of correspondence with North Carolina Extension. Sometimes, they know more about a disease than we do and we talk. Sometimes we know more about a disease than they do and we talk. So we try to keep, information flowing. The plant health world is just too small, especially in ornamentals, trees and shrubs. It's a lot bigger in ag. But when you're getting into trees and shrubs, there's not that many folks working on these things. So there's enough new stuff coming along the channels that we've got to keep talking.
Yeah, I got to connect you with Dr. Ong over there at Texas Plant Clinic. He is really cool. He's friends with Vic. So Vikram.
Oh,
Vikram
I know him.
Yeah. Oh, you do? Okay, cool. Kevin's awesome. I figured when you said the world is kind of small, I was like, oh, you probably know Dr. Ong then.
Oh yeah.
he had actually sent me a DM a while back. I picked up some variegated plumerias, and he had called me and was like concerned. He was like, hey, where did you get those plumerias from? And I was like, oh, they're variegated. He's like, oh, okay. Well, still, you think you can send me some leaves? Like, send me a couple of leaf samples, just because he had maybe heard something about like some plumeria mosaic disease or something like that. And so I think we lost track of where we're going to get that stuff, but we had talked about doing some stuff like that. But it's always cool having people like that in your back pocket, because you just never know. Like there's always something going on. Like
That's
I know.
It. Yeah, you're absolutely.
I know.
Right.
One of the things we talked about earlier in the year was what was the fig thing in California?
The black fig fly.
The black fig fly. Have you heard of that before?
No.
Phil, talk about that, because I know they had talked about like not shipping out like figs and like fig cuttings out of like a certain area of California.
Usually it's hard getting stuff into California. This time nobody wants it from California. At least in the plant experts, for at least the fig world. Because I was speaking with, I just connected with somebody in northern Italy who was like, yeah, it's in Europe, it's an issue. And I guess it came up through Mexico. But I think it's another one of those things. It's not the fly that's going to kill it. It's like the other things that the fly deposits on the figs that causes the fruit to drop and all of these things, whether it's fungus or bacteria. But it's pretty rough in California right now. It's pocketed, I think. So they're doing some right things by limiting transmission, but it's like it's not a when, not if for most of California. So we'll see. But it's kind of made me push the brakes a little bit on ordering cuttings or trees from California. But
can it really come in the cuttings, or does it
I don't
have
think
to
it
be
can come in the cuttings? I'm actually feeling better about that statement, actually.
Yeah, it lays eggs in unripe fruit, causing internal damage and premature dropping.
The one thing that I had here with figs is I think it's like the ambrosia beetle, and you had the borings come out of the trunk. And they're like however long, and it's definitely the fungus that the borers put in there, and they have to I lost a whole tree to it because I had to chop it down, and that wood's in my fire pit ready to go. But the black fig fly has been a tough one. But I don't know. I always try to think about pathology like it existed in other places. I mean, a big thing in North Carolina that's not fig related. We have the black lantern fly, or the lantern fly,
spotted lantern fly.
Spotted lantern fly that's coming out from the northeast. So, Christmas trees used to in parts of Wilmington used to come from Pennsylvania, and they were like absolutely not, stop. No more Christmas trees from up your way, because they didn't want any. But
also, North Carolina has enough of its own Christmas trees.
Yeah, exactly.
By local trees.
So, and rightly so. So I heard that was actually a good sale for everyone hurt by the hurricane out in the mountains. To actually the Christmas tree sales help bounce things back a little bit.
Good.
But y'all, when I was in Virginia in October for a conference, I got to squish my first spotted lanternfly. And I was so excited. I mean, that's a weird thing to be happy about.
So beautiful, though. It sucks. They're really pretty.
I don't know what's up with Pennsylvania, but it's the same deal. People in the Susquehanna River. I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but they had a big issue with
the mighty Susquehanna.
The mighty Susquehanna, the largest river in Pennsylvania, divides it right down the middle. Gets snakeheads fish. And if you caught one, you had to kill it on site. It was an invasive thing from.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Same thing with those sucker fish, the Bacostmus.
Wow.
Vikram, I hope you got that on video of you killing that spotted lanternfly.
I think I did. I need to go find it, but I was like,
post that.
Thank goodness we don't have them here. I'm happy to not have them here. They can stay. Well, they need to go away, but y'all can keep them. But I was walking around and I'd never seen one in person. And, one of them flew into my face and I was like, ha, it's time.
You're like Jack Black. Today's the day you died.
And, I mean, in 2025, what was your, when you're traveling around, what was your most common, issue you were seeing? What was the biggest thing of 2025 that you saw?
So for me, definitely beech leaf disease, but that's biased because it's just been blowing up in a lot of areas, and that's something I work on all the time. But besides that, it's still a lot of winter injury from that really bad freeze. What was it, 2 winters ago? That stuff lingers on, and people rapidly forget that it happened. So that's a pretty common one. You visit sites and you see, major injury to the cambium on trees.
Got it.
And maybe it started to heal and then it just couldn't. And so, but yeah, other than that, beech leaf disease for sure.
I've never heard of this before. That's interesting.
That's crazy looking.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've spent the bulk of the last 5 years working on this disease. So most of my travel and a bunch of those photos on the screen are my photos from field visits. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's a neat one. Yeah.
Cool.
You just Google your own photos like that.
It's weird. It's weird when you Google stuff and you start seeing your stuff. It's so weird when you see it.
Yeah.
Has it made it to South Carolina yet?
No, but I did just discover it here in North Carolina a month ago. So first confirmation in North Carolina last month.
What's the pathogen?
It's a nematode. It's a
nematode?
Lidolenchus cronati mecanii. It's a foliar nematode specific to beech trees.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Foliar nematode.
Yeah, and it does.
That's interesting.
So it's been. I mean, this is. It's a lot like hemlock woolly adelgid, the kind of like that level of severity. It's almost as bad as chestnut blight if you want to compare it to something on that scale. But yeah, it's really bad. I mean, it's killing a lot of mature beech trees up in the Midwest and New England in particular.
Do you think it's going to wipe them all out like the American chestnut?
Probably to a similar level of mortality but
Wow.
beech are better at regenerating. So there's a chance that if there's immune trees out there, that they may regenerate better than American chestnut, because American chestnut just is pretty terrible at regenerating. But yeah, mortality will certainly be high, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's I did not know that. I don't if I do have nematode, if I have bad nematodes down here in Houston, I wouldn't even know it, because usually by the time the root knot nematodes hit like my squash or my tomatoes, it's usually by the time they're dying out anyway.
Yeah.
But Phil was talking about how he has the root knot nematodes real bad where he's at. I didn't know there was such thing as a foliar nematode. I guess because I always think of a nematode as a soil bound worm. It's a worm, right? It's a
worm. Yeah, there is another group of foliar nematodes in agriculture that some, like, which is the one that's really bad in strawberries because it spreads a virus to strawberries. There's another foliar nematode species that gets on some ornamentals, hosta, peony, some nice herbaceous stuff that's growing up in like the mid-Atlantic and New England pretty commonly. But this one on the beech trees is unrelated. It's the only other one we have stateside, and those kids are really cute, by the way.
Oh, you've got the cutest family, I swear.
Thank you.
Like,
What's going on?
Christmas card in
Why
real
are we
life.
blurring the back?
You're not muted, Phil.
I'm like a guy.
I got you.
So speaking of strawberries, I'm in touch with the local strawberry farmer here who does like a U-pick, and he said this past year, a lot of the plants had diseases, and they had this specific disease, and that they had to limit like who they bought it from, and they were worried there wasn't going to be enough supply, and the ones they got were going to have all these issues, and they sort of won out. But our neighboring field, like who's 2 miles away, like bought from a different supplier, and like half of theirs died out from this disease. Like it was really bad this past year.
The problem is there's not a whole lot of strawberry like suppliers. Like for berry, there's not that many. They're mostly coming from Canada, and so if one has it, they all have it. Because I know my buddy Froberg, he had to like terminate like an entire like acres of strawberries, and then once you have it, man, he said you basically just solarize that stuff. Like don't water it. Let it just be beat down with sun. There's nothing you can do. Like it's terrible. But I think it was that nematode stuff, though. I think it was like you were saying.
I don't think we get a lot of nematodes out here, though, in Piedmont, do we? Because it's mostly for sand-based, for soil-borne nematodes.
Right.
Like clay-based, I don't think we get as much because they can't travel. At least I haven't run into any issues.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad for sure. We see them on hollies and boxwood and some other woodies, but it's nowhere near the scale at which you can have just fields taken over by nematodes in Florida or other parts of the Southeast. Yeah,
that's crazy. You mentioned ambrosia beetle before. Was it just that? What was the tree you were having the issue with? There was one specific. It was the fig. Okay, I thought you had like a peach or something that had it.
Oh no, that peach. I thought it was like another type of boring bug, but it ended up being, oh my gosh, it was so nice. Shout out to Pender Pines in Hampstead, North Carolina. We went, and the manager there's like, really? Oh no, let's take a look at it. He's like, first, go get another one because it was a Red Haven peach, and then like they have like goats and all kinds of animals. So we went and fed the animals, and he rolled up with his golf cart. He's like, I chopped it in half. Let's take a look. And we were sitting there taking a look, and I'm like, I just appreciate that like places like this have team members that are as committed and plant nerdy as I am. So we went in and we didn't see any of the boring issues that I was really worried about. But what was there's another disease. I keep thinking gummy, but it's a gummy berry, but like it's like some sort of gummy. Gummosis. So I thought it was going to be gummosis, and it may have been because it wasn't into the core of the tree. Regardless, I got another Red Haven peach, and it's doing fantastic out there. Because I have a flame-kissed nectarine, I want them to pair. And Yeah, so I think it ended up maybe being Gummosis. If not, sometimes I think there is some sap release and some bubbling for breathing. If that's right, is that correct, or is it there's something going on? So, regardless, it wasn't some sort of boring issue, but I think it was Gummosis.
What is gummosis?
It's usually from stress, right? Like
Yeah. Go ahead, Vikram.
No, I mean, I'm probably a little not as well versed on it, but it's characteristic by a lot of sap. Like you get a lot of like sap leaking out of the tree. You get these big clusters of it, and
Stress
you see it
response.
on old stress trees. Like I've got an apricot in my yard that is, I mean, it's on its way out, and I'm seeing a lot of it right now. And yeah, just unfortunately one of those things. It's interesting to look at because you just get these big, like, I always think of
It's like globular.
Jurassic Park, where you get like the amber, the
Oh,
mosquito
the amber,
trapped in the amber.
cases the
Like
mosquito.
in 65 million years, some weird alien's gonna.
I watched some plant video on it where they're like intentionally wounding a peach tree to create the sap so they can make like peach gum from it. And I thought of you, Vikram. I was like, I don't know if this is real. I need to run this by Vikram so he can assess this.
That's what I was going to ask if people did anything with the gummosis. I was going to ask. Some people probably eat it. People probably chew on it.
That's interesting.
Where they're like picking the gum off the bottom of the peach tree, and then all of a sudden they're making like these little gum jelly balls. I'm like, I don't know if that's how it works. I'd
try it once. I'd try it at least once. It can't be worse than like Big Red.
If you get gummosis from a stone fruit by wounding it intentionally and it just kind of bleeds out and it's fresh gummosis, it has a very neutral taste. I bet you could add flavoring to it and it would bind really well, but I really wouldn't recommend eating gummosis if the cause is Cytospora kink or one of the bacterial. If it's actually like disease induced, it does not taste good.
Oh, it probably won't. Yeah, whatever byproduct from the bacteria, or you're inoculating your mouth with it.
Yeah. They can taste very kind of gross and smoky. But if it's not disease related and it's just from a wound, I bet you could actually make some cool stuff from it. So maybe something to try. I don't know.
That's interesting. I'll go out and dig around in my apricot tree.
I'm gonna need to find that video. I'll send it to y'all.
Well, because Vikram, y'all had a huge peach orchard, right? And y'all had y'all had issues with lack of rain and things like that, right?
Just being in Lubbock, yeah. We took out most of those trees. There's a few left that are still, young enough to be productive. They were old for production.
What's the age? What is that age old for production?
What's the sweet spot?
So in an orchard setting, they'll usually let them go 12 to 15 years at the outside before replacing the trees.
Would you replace the tree completely, or would you replace?
Would you graft
on top of the rootstock?
It depends on the health of the rootstock. I would probably take the tops off and regraft, because if you've got healthy rootstocks, they're well established. You'll get much healthier trees in the long run, right? They don't have to mine for water, especially in a dry climate like mine. If you've got a well-established root system, like just graft onto it. Like I even tell people, I think we should, nuke every Bradford pear from orbit. just drop it like a orbital strike on every single one of them. But they make decent rootstocks if you can control the suckering, and they actually make pretty good rootstock.
That's the problem,
that you couldn't graft different types of pears onto Bradford pears. That only certain types took, like a Kiefer pear. Is that true? Have you heard of any grafting from like any type in terms of compatibility?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would think any Pyrus would work, but it may have to be, an Asian pear. I'm not sure. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that would be interesting to look into a little bit more.
I don't know. Somebody told me that once.
It says most European and Asian pear varieties are highly compatible, including Bartlett, Kiefer, Haro, Sweet, and various Asian pear cultivars. It's worth a try. I mean, anything to get rid of the actual, Bradford, right?
Yeah. I mean, you just have to look at them wrong, or just wait for an ice storm, or about 15 years. But the problem is by then they've already taken over the countryside and your neighbor's yard and everything else. People get so mad at me. I get so much hate on social media for, talking about the proper pruning technique for a Bradford pear, which is horizontal at ground level. And people, but they're pretty. I like them. I'm like, well, okay, I get that, but
there are other pretty plants.
yeah, you could just like plant a regular pear. Like a Bartlett pear has beautiful flowers, and you also get pears off of it, and they're not invasive. So
Yeah, I was at Jay White's house a couple weeks ago, and I went out there, and he had this beautiful tree. And like in Texas, we don't get that cold, so we don't get like the 4 seasons like y'all do. Vikram, you don't get 4 seasons either, but like this beautiful, foliage. It was like bright orange, like fire red. And I was like, "What kind of tree is that, Jay?" And he's like, "It's a pistache." And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, he goes, "Don't post a picture of that online." He's like, "The native plant folks come after you." He's like, "They're so beautiful. They don't get super tall. They grow kind of fast. They're beautiful, but the native plant people come for you." But they're really pretty.
I'm gonna say that's one I'm pretty sensitive about. Invasive plants too. But I'm a sucker for a Chinese pistache. It is such a nice tree, and depending on where you are, they can be pretty weedy. Like we tend to pull a lot of them out. But it's not like some others, right? Its invasive potential, depending on where you are, can be pretty high. Yeah, people like them because they're non-native, but like again, especially where I am, it's dry. We have lots of wind. We have harsh winters and harsher summers, and something like that will take that climate, give you some fall color. It's great forage for the birds. We don't have a lot of late season forage up here for some of our species, and so
Chinese pistachio does not put out a pistachio. I found out it is not a pistachio.
No, this little they'll make a fruit, but it's not the same. So no, I get the same thing. People get mad at me about them, but like they're such a pretty tree, and it's different. Again, I know I just was dogging that about Bradford pears, but they're not in the same category in my mind.
They're not nasty and messy like the Bradford.
All right, Matt, are you a native or a non-native?
Yeah.
Oh, you're about to get Matt.
What's your take? Ready for the comments.
Yeah, I've definitely waded into those arguments many times back on my Facebook.
There's no winning.
No. I'm very much more on the nuanced side. There's an enormous scale of invasiveness, and it's locally specific. And just think about it for 5 minutes before you make a snap decision for an entire country or state or whatever. Right. Yeah, up in this area, Bradford pears are really bad. On the other hand, Chinese pistache are not. Before I forget, if you're ever at the Coastal Georgia Botanic Garden, the largest Chinese pistache I've ever seen is there. I've walked past it every year until this year, and I assumed it was an oak tree because I never looked up. It is a freaking massive Chinese pistache. I had no idea they could get that big.
Yeah, I thought they only get like 30 feet or whatever. It's bigger than that, huh?
This is way bigger. It's old. That garden was established by David Fairchild, so it gives you an idea of the age. But yeah, anyway, like when you work in the service industry, obviously, like I've walked onto landscapes and people are paying me to save their Bradford pear. Or not paying me directly, but you know what I mean. Like, that is their priority. Yeah. That's the only tree they've got in their front yard, and it has fire blight or rust or just needs to be pruned or whatever. And yeah, it's really interesting because part of me totally wants to say exactly what Vikram just said. It's like, for goodness sake, just why are we wasting our time with these moderately sort of kind of helpful fire blight treatments? Let's just cut it down and put in something else. But that's not always up to you, so you have to respect what people like and find out why they like it. Maybe they love the flower. Well, maybe you can convince them to plant something else that has nicer flowers. Just so I don't yell at people over their non-native plant preferences anymore.
Well, it really comes down to like personal responsibility. Yeah. Like if you were to go out in the forest and plant 1,000 fig trees, they would take over, Like, I mean, if I planted so many brown turkeys, they would take over an entire forest. They grow so vigorously, the roots are nuts. They would. So really, it comes down to like people managing. As long as they're managing it properly, it's not too bad. It's. I don't know. It's the invasive stuff always gets me crazy. Just my blood boiling.
One invasive that I've run across here in my woods is the China berry tree, and I see that, and I've heard that it's really the berries are toxic to pets and animals,
livestock,
and even birds will get like intoxicated if they eat too many of them. I don't know if that's true, but
it's great for honey.
Really,
it's really great for honey. A lot of the honey producers down here, because it's so popular, it soaks up a lot of water. People plant them in low spots. They used to. They don't plant them anymore. But they grow really fast. Add some shade, and they produce a lot of pollen, and the bees go nuts for them in early spring when nothing else is really blooming. And so they help out a lot of European honey, which is not a native either. It's a non-native helping out another non-native. People don't think about it like that.
Those are on our Texas invasive plants list, though, so you can't sell them in Texas.
No.
I was up in an old growth forest where we're working in Rhode Island, and it's the only stand of invasive Japanese maple in a forest that I've walked through before. That was weird. It's not something you think of, right? Of being invasive.
No.
But they've been trying to eradicate it from this patch of old growth forest. And granted, they're not really big on herbicides in this particular patch, so they just keep coming back. I think if they came through with the right herbicide, they'd take care of it pretty quick. But that was cool.
What a beautiful invasive spot.
I'd never
It's
seen
really
a
nice.
maple invasive patch before. It was pretty neat.
You were like, I'll dig this up and take it home with me.
and they would do well as an understory too, so I could see them really spreading well under old growth.
Exactly.
Especially in Rhode Island, that's like that's probably like very similar to Japanese like climate. I would assume,
at least in Haikido.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, coastal Rhode Island is actually very moderate because it is so coastal. So yeah, they get kind of cold, but not that cold. So probably great conditions for it there. There's weird stuff like that, but I'm not going to go tell people not to plant Japanese maple because in most of the country they're not going to do that.
Right.
That's a very specific microclimate.
Yeah.
It'd be like if golden retriever puppies were invasive somewhere, but like only the puppies. Like
people start killing chihuahuas. Like it's like nope, they're invasive.
We can't talk about killing pets on here. Okay.
Sorry.
They're pretty invasive in wealthy New England towns. Golden retrievers. They've recently hybridized with the doodle.
See, the official pet of wasps up in Rhode Island.
The golden doodle.
Right. But is there a tree you will tell people, don't plant this tree, please? Is there some tree you're like, look, you just need to cut that down. You can't plant it, and here's why.
Well, and covering different states, you have different stuff on different lists as well. So it's got to be, you got to reference things as well.
Yeah, I'm really grateful when states work with Extension to pass legislation, because that is such a nice, just hard and fast. Sorry, the nurseries are not legally able to sell this anymore. You should not be planting this. So I love it when the Extension folks actually get together with the legislators and simplify things. And, that's been trickling down for the Bradford pears in some states. But yeah, I think currently here in North Carolina, right? They did North and South Carolina now both. You're not allowed to sell Bradford pears. Is that correct? I don't know if the legislation is planting of Bradford pears, but definitely selling it, which things trickle down from the nursery, so that was good. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Josh. There's definitely plants where I strongly recommend people do not plant, or if they have it, get rid of it.
My nemesis tree is sweet gum trees, and I know not just because they have that little star ball of death that you'll step on, but because when you cut it down, it just comes back, and it comes back 6 feet from where you cut it down too. and you just can't, having cleared land by hand with machetes, like I will never plant a sweet gum ever, and I hate them. So that's just a personal passion of mine.
So unless that ruling is in 2025, it looks like it's illegal to sell them in South Carolina, but it's still not illegal in North Carolina.
Okay, interesting.
North Carolina needs to follow South Carolina. Then
Well,
Get on the ball there.
Mhm.
and that's why I tell people that on this podcast I try to get people to not use the term invasive, because as someone who's got a nursery, I have a Texas Department of Agriculture nursery license. There's a list of plants that tells me what is invasive and what is not invasive. And obviously the bureaucratic stuff takes longer to happen. So, you get, these other organizations that classify things as invasive before they're actually classified as invasive. But using that term too much makes it not mean anything at a certain point. So having the process be faster on making stuff classified as invasive, is what needs to happen. Like you're saying, like the process of making stuff invasive for people to sell. Because we in Texas with the Vitex, we have the issue. In certain counties in Texas, it's a problem. Around Austin and the weedy outcrops of like when it washes out, it outgrows other native stuff. But here in the Houston area, it's not a problem. So it needs the process of making stuff invasive legally needs to be, speed up a little bit, what they need to do.
Well, I think Matt made a good point earlier that the internet's not good for nuance, right? Like there's no except for long form stuff like this, right? As educators, creators, whatever, we can try to be as nuanced as we want in our videos, but there's only so much you can do in 90 seconds or 3 minutes or whatever. And all of these things, especially, for Destin and I in a state like Texas that has a dozen different like ecological regions and so many like geographical differences, like the stuff that's going to be invasive for Destin is probably going to freeze out up here in Lubbock. Like it's not going to make it. And so I think there is a lot of room for nuance in these. And you made a good point, Destin, about like words mean things. And like from whether we're talking about like GMOs or organics or invasive species, like we need to actually use the words correctly. Like we need to make sure that they mean the thing they're intended to mean, and then come up with different language for, potentially invasive or aggressive non-native or whatever that still
herbaceous
gets
weeds, things
very
like
right. If a endangered animal, right? You would have them like threatened, endangered, like extinct. You could probably have the same categorization of a spectrum for plants too.
Yes.
And there is some of that, but it's not like super well known,
Right.
like it's, and so, you talk about it, non-native or introduced or invasive or noxious. And there's all these terminology that most people just know invasive, and they use it. They paint with a pretty wide brush on that.
But once it's actually put on that list, that means money, because money means everything. So once you put that plant on the list, that means I'm going to get fined for every plant I have in stock in my nursery. So I will not have that in my nursery. So that's what needs to happen. Like, as long as people will buy it and it's not illegal to sell it, people are going to continue to sell it. So like if people want it to actually be classified as an invasive, they need to speed up that process, is what it sounds like on certain things. But yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. Like, well, and you said GMO, Vikram, that video of me and Broberg eating that watermelon. We walked out there and he had that Cracker Jack or the Blackjack, seedless watermelon, and people lose their mind in the comment section talking about, oh, that's a GMO watermelon. It doesn't have seeds. It's a sterile watermelon. You might as well be eating a plastic container. It's like, dude,
that's not how
people don't know what GMO even means, and it's so crazy, dude.
You can't even buy GMO seeds in like regular home garden seeds. That's what I found out. All these seed companies say non-GMO, but like nobody sells GMO seeds
except for the purple tomatoes, right? The purple tomatoes, right?
Yeah. I've got a couple seed packets. I'm growing them out this spring.
Well, and it's such a it's such a shock value word. You know, it's invasive, GMO. You know, it doesn't. Everything's been modified. Everything's been, over time. Like corn isn't what corn used to be. Apples aren't what they used to. Like, everything has evolved from what it has because of,
The wheat
selective
germ
breeding
over 5 years.
process and
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like
not
that.
GMO, it's selective breeding.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just those buzzwords drive people nuts. But it does great for videos. The video's got over 100,000 views, so I'm not mad about it.
Wow.
And that watermelon was delicious. That's the best watermelon I've ever eaten in my entire life.
It looks baller.
Good variety.
Looked amazing.
I looked it up and I looked up the wrong website because I was like, I have to buy 2,000 seeds. And I was like,
Well, luckily we had Zach on the podcast last week, and he works with Seedway, and he will hook us up with some.
and he explained it too, like the triploids, and like making sure like that's how it works out that way. So it's just a breeding pattern for certain varieties. So anyway, if
People are
anyone's
just crazy.
there, as soon as this episode blows up, like it will.
We'll click that.
Speaking of videos blowing up, do you ever feel like the most controversial and or stupid videos you make are the only ones that get like all the views, and then the ones that are like really good and informative, you're like, man, like only 1,000 people watch that video, and you just feel like, why is
I
it
laughed out loud when you were like, let's back this up. I'm going to slow it down. And I'm going to do this video. He's like,
Vikram's tiramisu video.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tiramisu in a bit because that's a pretty dope drawer. It should be included in all subdivisions, But
The Italian drawers.
yeah, all new subdivisions must come with a tiramisu drawer in their kitchenette. But Josh is like, I'm going to slow it down for you. This is a tree. It grows tall. He's like, this is a bush. It doesn't grow as tall as trees. And I was like, this is so good.
That video got more plays than like any video I've made, probably. I mean, it's just like the basics. Anyway, it's sort of.
I'll take that. I will say that though, like I did a repost of last year because I worked really hard on making a video on how to propagate. And then I was like, it did well. I'm going to just see if it does well again. And I was just like, bloop. And it was like, oh, it did really well. And I got like really positive feedback. And so it's like, back to the drawing board and how I can make things as dense and succinct as possible with engagement throughout, because I just want it to spread. Because it is frustrating when you provide valuable content. You're like, how can I get this word out? And it's not, but I'm going to post something that's like, look what I sneezed onto my fig tree, and it does really well.
I will say, y'all, I just reposted a video again. That's the second time I've reposted it. I posted it in July. I made it originally a year or two ago. And then the summer, I was like, I need content. This is, a pretty good one. I'll post it. So the first time I posted it, it got like 850,000. The second time, sorry, the first time it didn't. It was okay. It did okay. The second time I posted it in July, it got 850,000 views, and I picked up 25,000 followers from it. And it was in my niche. It was about compartmentalization in trees, code it. And then I just posted it again a couple of days ago, and it's already at like almost 200,000 and another like 4,000 followers or something. So my entire growth strategy on social media right now is just that one video. I'm just going to repost it every 6 months and see what happens.
I mean, hey, that's fantastic, especially because if it's on brand and it's niche to like what you're trying to connect with people on, then that makes total sense. So that's a win-win right there. It's just a bummer that it doesn't just continually grow throughout. We have to tap back into it as we.
I have a video that I can post every March. I post it March 1st every year.
One?
And gets 1 million views every single time. Like
which one?
It's weird.
Amazing.
I mean, I got a couple of them at this point, but like it'll get a couple 100,000 or 1 million views every single time. It's the one where I talk about the tomatoes. It's just getting the algorithm right. But this time of year, like I've just been reposting my top videos of the year, and they've been doing okay. So I mean, people are not thinking about gardening around Christmas time, and so me and Froberg snacking on grapes is not the worst thing in the world. I wanted to get back on. We go on a little bit of tangents, Matt. Sorry. I want to talk about. So you cover such a wide, the Eastern Seaboard. What is your go-to, like your number one? Like, let's see. What's your top 3 recommendations for folks? Like, if they're wanting, they got a brand new yard or brand new back, whatever. What are your like top 3 like recommendations like people get?
Oh, that's a great question.
Your favorites.
You all will probably nod in vicious agreement. Cultural management. When people call a arboriculture company, that they're usually, if they don't know a lot about trees, they think that they're asking for a spray. Really, what they typically want is cultural management. So usually when I walk onto a landscape, it's very similar to crop consulting. You start with the ground up, almost always over irrigation or severe under irrigation on newly planted trees and shrubs. Like that is just, so ubiquitous. So usually we're starting with looking at the soil, seeing, why are these boxwood being flooded with water twice a day when they're well established and shouldn't need water ever, unless there's maybe a severe drought. Or, the reverse, this row of emerald green arborvitae are dying because you put them in rock hard clay soil and they've never been watered. Or the people say, oh, no, we do water them. And you say, how much? And then they say, well, we gave it a gallon of water last month. Like, that kind of thing is really common. And I'm not saying anything against homeowners. There are absolute professional commercial places that's how they water.
Right.
We had one contract with a very worldwide well-known company that shall remain unnamed. And we had asked them to water their trees. Their trees are dying. And they said, we did water. And we said, when? These trees are deathly dry. And they looked back at the wreckage and it's like, it's right here. Last March, we watered once.
Oh my God.
Last March, oh my God.
Yeah, so that's that stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, then cultural management, we try to start with soil testing, get your soil nutrient profile. If necessary, biochar is a great option. We'll often do air spading in biochar and compost into the root system.
Can you? You're the second person I've heard talk about air spading. And my friend Shelby, because I work for a company called Nelson Plant Food. We make fertilizer, so we can talk later on about who y'all use for your fertilizers. But she mentioned air spading before, so maybe explain what air spading is. That's a really cool technique that is very underutilized, it seems like.
Absolutely, yeah. Air spading is a really nice technology. It's very widely used in the arboriculture industry now. The original tool was actually developed by a Bartlett scientist back in the day, and we originally had the patent on it. But basically, it's a nozzle that blows out supersonic air. So all you need is a large compressor drug behind your truck. And it has a nozzle that's a certain diameter or whatnot and a guard on it. And it's about 8 inches long. And you're using this supersonic blast of air to get down into the root system below that upper root horizon. And it does a really good job of loosening up tough soils without damaging the roots. So, the alternative would be actually tilling the soil. But if you have an established shrub or tree, you don't want to till and destroy the root system. So the next best thing is air spading, where, exactly. You can excavate roots without severely damaging them. And then once you've loosened that up, you can backfill it and continually use that process, the air knife or air spading to churn that biochar and composted material down into the soil well within the root zone. So it's a very, very time consuming process. It's kind of expensive, but if it's done well and done right, it really does do wonders for the rhizosphere. A lot of
is this a service that y'all provide, or y'all third party this?
No, we provide this, but many other arboriculture companies do as well now, which is absolutely awesome.
So cool.
Yeah. It's a good process. It has to be done right. Like you can make it look like you're doing it and just really quickly go in and stir up the soil a bit. Oh yeah, there's Ed Gilman demonstrating it. But yeah, it's a fantastic way to rejuvenate the soil around that critical root zone.
Wow.
There's
a lot of
similar
people use
tool
it.
called
Do they
the-
use it?
Look at
Do
that.
they use it for like when they do the mulchcano problem and they're trying to like expose all the roots? Because that's where I've seen this done. I haven't seen it done like outside near the drip line. Like, what's the most common area that they do it in?
Right. Yeah, we use it to expose that photo in the middle there. It's really good for exposing the root flare, so you can find structural defects,
Girdling.
roots, all of that, and you can expose all that without going in with a trowel and taking hours and hours to dig that out. Yeah, I mean, if people have the time, you can go out to the drip zone if you really wanted to. But in most cases, you're not doing that. You're just focusing on maybe the first, 3-4 feet around the trunk to get in that critical root zone area. Yeah, it's a really nice service. It is messy, and you have to water beforehand and make sure you're not just blowing up dust. So it's really important that people water, irrigate very well before that process, and then also follow it up with irrigation, because you have disturbed all of that soil, and it takes a little while for the fungi to go back in and bind your aggregates together and all of that.
Is this common? Is this common technique right here with the air spading? The like different ways to do it, like hub and spoke. Is that common?
Yeah, it is. Typically, that one on the bottom left is quite standard. There's another tool that you can do with that vertical mulching, and it's almost like a very miniature fracking process.
Interesting.
That can work pretty well too. Yeah, and there's plenty of good science backing up these tools. They're just kind of expensive and time consuming. So people have to know about them in order to ask for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good research in this area to show it's really good for trees.
And the reason I heard about it was not from necessarily trees. It was from, grass. Like she had gone to a turf grass conference and was talking about it. And like people have issues with compaction. It's like that in their turf. And they can really, amend some lawns and things like that as well with something like this. And that's very interesting.
Yeah, obviously preventative would be best, but we don't always have that luxury.
It's usually reactionary when you're by the time they call you, they're reacting to a problem. My tree's dying. What's going on?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's Phil, Josh. I'm assuming you got some trivia for us tonight.
I always bring the trivia if I'm here.
Who is the new guy who's in charge of Jeopardy? What's his name? He's the guy who won like 1 million times. You're that guy.
I will be that guy. So I don't know who that guy is. But Matt, we do a little bit of trivia here. And the way that it works is we let the people in the comments try to guess first. Even though we all are going to know the answer immediately, don't jump in and be like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. But these are crafted around tree and landscaping plant diseases. So I think you're going to know them. And so then once they don't get it, which some of them may not, some they might, then maybe we can talk about the thing itself. So that's how we work it. Everybody ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do this. All right, in the mid-1840s, potato crops in Ireland failed on a massive scale due to a disease that spreads rapidly in cool, wet weather. What is the disease and what type of pathogen causes it? And what conditions favor these epidemics?
Yes, I was just listening to a podcast about this actually.
Really? Wow.
Well, kind of. It was the Matt and Shane Secret podcast. They're talking about it. It's not a history podcast or anything like that.
Dang.
There you go.
All right, we got one guess. Blight. That is on the money. Anybody know what type of blight?
It's potato blight, right?
Irish potato. Yes. And what causes blight in potatoes? Does anybody know?
I think Matt, as the plant pathologist, I'll let you explain it. Let's see.
Destin knows, but he wants to.
No, I mean I know it's
late
potato
blight. That's correct.
It's late potato blight.
It is late blight. Yes, is the specific type.
Ooh,
Phytophthora infestans, if I'm not mistaken.
That is exactly it. Yep.
So
interesting.
it's
Nice.
technically not a fungus. It's a fungal-like pathogen. The Phytophtheras are oomycete pathogens. Depending on who you talk to, they're often called the brown algae pathogens. But yeah, they're fungal-like. I mean, if you look at the disease on a potato plant, it looks like a fungal disease. But yeah, sort of not technically related to fungi. Oomycete diseases is what we call them. And yeah, caused by wet, moderate temperature conditions. So devastating, unfortunately.
Ooh, look at that.
And it's common amongst nightshades.
Yes.
We get a lot of tomato blight here, which is most of the time late blight in this area. So it's probably pretty similar.
Well, and one thing I recommend to people, like when talking about tomato like blight and things like that, is trimming the tomato plant up. Because like, don't you get it from like the soil, like splashing water on the soil and coming up and hitting the bottom of the leaves and things like that?
Yeah, I think that's the primary stage that starts it, and I think there's an aerial stage later on. This gets really confusing because we refer to these as like late blight and early blight, and early blight is a fungus, totally unrelated to late blight.
Oh, interesting.
And I will fully admit that plant pathologists are not very good at naming diseases. A lot of these diseases are just so darn confusing. So
You say it's dead. It's dead.
People get confused. We need to be more creative when we name diseases, for sure.
Yeah, let's call this one late blight. Yeah, because it looks the same.
Oh.
All right. Well, that sort of sucks, but everybody did good. We got a couple of people got it right, so I'm impressed. So one for the audience here. Next one.
Great job, Tanya.
Okay. So by the 1930s, a wilt disease began killing elms across North America, which at that time were the main street trees that were planted in many cities were elm trees. What is the disease and how is it commonly spread? What's the physiological reason that these leaves wilt? Does anybody know what that disease is called?
The nightmare on elm. It's a nightmare on elm trees, right? You had that written down, didn't you? You definitely had that written down somewhere.
That was pretty good. Dead is DED. Actually,
that's
no,
what
it stands
that's
for.
what it's called.
Well, it is the initials of it. Does anybody know what there you go. Come on, with a handle like ecology.
Jay's on it.
I would
We
imagine.
we can't be letting the Dutch ruin our elm trees, okay? I'm not gonna stand for that.
Yes, and bark beetles are the spreading functions. Any additional information, Matt or Vikram, on Dutch elm disease to shed light on this terrible disease?
Vikram, you want to take this one?
I don't know a ton about it. I don't know what kind of beetle. I know that you get these like star-shaped galleries, or like
It looks
like,
kind of cool.
floating galleries under the bark, but I don't actually know which beetle spreads it.
That looks like the Fifth Element.
Wow.
I think it's spread by a couple of different elm bark beetles. Again, not horribly creative names, but accurate. And they, if I remember correctly, these are very different from like the ambrosia beetles that attack the base of the elm tree. These bark beetles attack the twigs, and that's why you start seeing Dutch elm disease up in the canopy on the relatively small branches, and then it starts to move down the tree from there. And it's still around. I mean, like I was up in Ohio 2 seasons ago, and they were having a bad year for Dutch elm disease. You drive down the road and you see it, causing some limb dieback here or there. So most of the big old majestic elms are gone because of Dutch elm disease, but you still see it pretty commonly in the smaller elms here or there. And even some of the moderately resistant elms that people plant now, like they will get it, just they won't necessarily die from it. So yeah, it's still around.
What about the American elm? We have a lot of those on my property and in my area. Are those susceptible?
Highly susceptible.
Okay. Good, because they are a pain to split. Every time I've chopped down an elm tree, I can't split it very well. It's very tough wood.
I feel like I don't see hardly any American elms. I see Chinese elms and things like that. I don't hardly see as many American elms like in nurseries and things like that.
I love the American elm. That is one of my very favorite trees, actually.
It's beautiful. Fast growing.
It's a hard tree from the hardness scale side of things. It's it's pretty tough.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really cool when you actually see one of these remaining elms in person in that just iconic vase shape, and then they inevitably tell you that they've been treating it for X number of years because they love the tree, and for good reason. They were freaking amazing trees.
Wow, sad.
Well, it says they can spread it from root to root, just like the oak wilt.
Yeah, root grafting is a real common vector.
Not good for street trees when there's an alley of them.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, let's move on here. This one is less tree-ish and more shrubbish, but since it sounds like something from Lord of the Rings, that the Treebeard would say, very shrubbish. Anyway, since the 2010s, a highly disruptive disease has affected boxwoods and changed planting practices. In fact, Matt, you spoke about this in your presentation, which was interesting. What is the disease and how does it commonly spread? And what is one key prevention step that people can take to prevent this issue with boxwoods? Anybody know what it's called and how it spreads? It's pretty new.
Let's see. Come on, commenters. You got this. You're doing good so far.
It's a newer issue for these types of plants.
The boxwoods.
I didn't know about this till that presentation. I'll be honest. I was like, oh man, boxwoods they're everywhere. They're easy. No problems with those. All right, we got it. Boxwood blight. So we'll talk about the cause a little bit. Matt, you want to tell us a little bit about how it spreads?
I love boxwood. Like I'm not exaggerating. This is what I'm working on right now.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
Boxes.
Yeah. So, boxwood are a very, very maligned genera by most people these days, but I love them. They're foundational to many a garden. Anyway, boxwood blight is a really cool disease to study. It's had an enormous amount of research in the past. It sort of exploded in 2011, and a lot of academics started to look at it. It's a fungal disease. Calanectria pseudonaviculata is the current name. Specific to
That's some Harry Potter stuff right there. You just cast a spell, dude.
And that's actually the cure as well. You say the name with a stick. That's a wand.
Made out of boxwood.
Out of boxwood, I was going to say, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It gets on boxwood, obviously, but it also gets on a couple of the other plants we grow in that same family. So Pachysandra, sweet box, and boxwood are the main hosts here in North America. And it can absolutely be devastating, but it's also very seasonally dependent. And since 2011, we've learned so much about it. So in some situations now, we have a pretty good grasp of managing it. I think the cultural management that Josh was alluding to is that unlike most of the diseases we deal with in the landscape, the spores are not wind-borne. Spores are long, cylindrical, and they're described as being rather sticky. So they spread when anything moist touches the plant when it's blooming with spores, and they get moved to the next plant. So that's really common for it to spread from, hand saws, secateurs, gardening gloves, damp pair of jeans, brushing past the shrub, dogs.
And what do we do to boxwoods? We prune them into shapes. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a huge issue. So understanding what the disease is and then how it spreads is a really good first step to being very careful about who's working on your plants, who is pruning them, and then make sure they're aware. Like, this plant is infected. You can't move from this plant to the neighbor's property and prune their boxwood, or it'll go down the street. So we can manage it in some situations now. It's still very difficult for like moderately warm summers where there's a lot of rain. It can really explode. And it's tough because, boxwood are slow growing. So I go onto a ton of old historic properties and see a lot of boxwood that have been in the ground for, 100+ years. And if they have a disease like boxwood blight, it can be really bad.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other issues with boxwood too that I work on pretty commonly. We've got box tree moth. We've got a new disease called boxwood dieback. There's an old disease called boxwood decline. Vikram, again, pathologists are terrible at naming diseases. We've got boxwood blight, dieback, and decline, all completely unrelated issues. So, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Vikram, did you just take a shot of Hershey syrup? Is that?
I've been drinking out of this for like 20 minutes, waiting for someone to. It's just
What is happening?
It's my new water bottle. I'm gonna take it to class,
Dude,
and teach
awesome.
drinking this, and just to feel something. I need to get a reaction to feel something.
that's a Shiloh Farms Noah thing to do right there. Like, just to do something weird to make you like, wait a minute.
This is how you know you're ready for the semester to start, Vikram. You're
Me and
"All
Vikram
what
were-
can I do now?"
We were by ourselves and we were watching Noah's videos, and he would mispronounce the names of like plants and stuff. And like, he's literally just doing that. So people comment, like, you're saying it wrong. It's like, he's capitalizing that in his classes. People paying attention. He's like, is he drinking chocolate syrup in the middle of class? That's the most adaptive teacher method I've ever seen in my entire life.
I
bringing
knew I'd
TikTok
gotten
to life.
Josh. I knew I'd finally gotten Josh because I took a drink and he was just like,
He's like, "Huh?"
sorry, Matt was actually giving out like really
I'm
great
sorry,
information.
Matt.
I
I'm sorry to
just sorry.
No, I was waiting for somebody to ask you. I thought that was just your normal.
Maybe he's just that way. I don't know.
It's Lubbock. In December, we drink chocolate syrup. Just
That's what we do. It's part of my heritage, and
It's part of
how dare you
That's
question my
part of
culture?
Boxwood blight is to use Hershey's syrup. That's really what this is. The lesson there.
right.
I bet my mom's watching this. She watches this sometimes, and I'm sure I'll get a text about that in a little bit. Don't talk about our heritage that way. Anyway,
Shout
sorry.
out to
Go
Vikram's
on.
mom. Shout out to Vikram's mama.
Ecology Today asked, how should we dispose of boxwood if it has signs of blight?
Burn it.
That's a great question. Don't put it in your standard compost pile. There's too many things moving in and out of your compost pile that can move those spores around. So generally, most municipalities say you can just stick it in the regular garbage and dispose of it that way. If you're a nursery and you've got thousands of plants, they actually used to recommend digging a ditch and dumping them in the ditch, burning them, etc. Homeowners, I wouldn't recommend excavating your property and burning it just for boxwood blight, but at least take those infected cuttings and put them in the garbage for municipal pickup or whatever you have. That's usually sufficient and perfectly allowable.
And that's a good point. Like, anytime you have any, like, if you even think there's any kind of infection or disease on anything you're cutting off, do not put it in your compost. Like, that is the worst thing you can do.
Right.
Unless you've got a compost that's like actively steaming and you're going to bury it in there, maybe that's okay. But even then, you never really know what the heat tolerance is of every single thing you've got going on. So,
when in doubt, throw it out.
yeah.
I was laughing because y'all said boxwood, and there actually had an issue with some box elder bugs, not boxwood bugs. I'd got some Home Depot mulch, and it says that non-float cypress mulch, and I will forever buy mulch locally because you don't. And I'll recommend this to anybody. If you're going to buy mulch, buy it from someone locally. Don't buy it from the big box store because if you have pests, you want to be local pests. I don't know where those box elder bugs came from. They came from the mulch. I've never seen them before, and apparently they go after figs. And I was really concerned. Box elder bugs will do that, but I mix it up with boxwood and box elder. So yeah.
That's a good point about local mulch. I've actually had a lot better success with local mulch supplies than I have big box store mulch anyway.
100%.
But the best mulch is the ones you make yourself. So that's make your own. BYOM. So
if you get it from like a municipality, like I know the city up here, you can go just pick up free mulch, like as much as you want. But they're just mulching whatever they can get,
Yep.
Pallets, whatever ends up in their mulcher. So, and Matt, we can maybe talk about this a little bit because that's a potential. You don't know why that tree died. You don't know what. So solarizing, burying it, whatever you can do for a little bit before you put it in your garden can definitely be a good idea just because the price is right. That's great. Even sometimes from a local arborist, like they're taking what they get. And if they're responsible, they're probably disposing properly of infested or infected materials, but you never know. And so,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. You hit upon a really good point there. And that's pertinent to the comment in there. What about the truckloads from the tree trimming dudes? Yeah, there's a decent amount of research on that. There in the literature, they generally call it arborist chips, referring to the general mix of stuff that comes out of the tree trimming crew's chip truck. On the positive side, the nutrient ratio in that material tends to be really good because it is almost always a mixture of hardwood as well as smaller twigs and some leaf material. So it ends up being a really good carbon nitrogen ratio material. So from a nutrient perspective, it's better
break it down.
Purely hardwood mulch. It breaks down really well, helps build the soil over time. That's definitely a positive. But what Vikram said is like you also have to trust that the arborist was not chipping down, a tree that has a disease that can somehow stay alive in that material. And they may not
like a tallow or a China berry.
Yeah, or something with small invasive seeds. So I think having a trustworthy enough arborist that can dump the chips on your property, but also like be aware if their crew was doing a removal of some terrible disease that day that can actually be spread in that mulch, they wouldn't want to drop the chips on your property. But that being said, that's fairly rare. The great majority of arborist chips is just coming from pruning jobs, and they're trees that are alive and people are trying to keep them healthy. So in those cases, that's really good mulch material. If you can get that for free, absolutely go for it.
The city is where you gotta be worried. The city.
Yeah. Because they're doing rights away, they're doing removals. You never know.
Actually, there's a company. What's that company called? A Chip Drop. Have you heard of this?
Yeah,
it's a website. Yeah.
It's
super popular.
They haven't delivered yet, but they have a space in my side yard right here. When it's time, I will receive stuff.
Well, and I know, I've got some friends that are arborists here locally, and they're always like, "What the hell do I do with all this stuff?" So you could be doing them a favor too, of giving them a space to go with the material.
Oh yeah. Well, I just posted a video like 2 days ago where I bought a new pole saw and I was trimming the oak tree, and I had to stop at a certain point because I was like, I gotta do something with all these limbs. And so I have a little chipper, and I had to like cut everything. It took me 2 days, like cut everything down to where I could chip it up. And then like oak tree limbs and leaves don't break down super fast, and they're not the best compost, So like I've got to mulch the best I can, but like it's just not the best mulch. And if you got like mostly hardwood, like oak mulch, it doesn't break down great, and you get fungal issues, like you get that dog vomit mold and stuff. Like especially here in like the Houston area, like whenever I'm getting like the citywide compost, it's a lot of hardwood, not a whole lot of pine in this area. In North Carolina, I'll probably get more pine, and that helps with the mold and the fungal growth. I would say it helps out a lot with that. So
We
always be cautious.
get
of
a
that.
lot of pines here. That's in fact, I'm
And that's
constantly
good.
clearing pines on my property. And when I clear a pine tree, I use every part of it. I'll use the trunk for like borders, right? I'll let it rot, or I'll put the trunks around a fruit tree like 6 foot out as a perimeter, and then it'll break down after 2 years. Then I'll strip the bark back. I've got a bark stripper. Then I'll take the limbs, I'll chip the limbs, I'll let the pine needles die and drop and use them as a mulch. So I use every bit of a pine tree. I'm a big fan of using it.
You should build some like blueberry raised beds on like pine.
Yeah,
some pine
that'd be
tree
cool.
be nice.
You people with your native trees.
Oh my God. Hey, you don't talk to me about native. I've got very few native trees in my house.
Well, but there's trees that grow in, your part of the state. I'm up here on the prairie, and there's nothing taller than a German Shepherd out here that actually is supposed to exist. Depending on who you ask, mesquite trees are technically native up here, but people argue about that too. I don't know. But aside from that,
the trees do grow taller. It's just when they're windswept, they just don't stay as.
they're just laying down. You
like bonsai trees out there.
I will say we basically never see anything uproot here. We'll see trees snap, but we've got pretty sandy soil, and because the average wind speed here is 15 miles per hour. Usually it's more like 20 or 25, especially during the spring. So all of our trees get a ton of reaction wood and compressive strength from that constant. So they're short, but they're incredibly dense. And so it is super rare unless there's a Ganoderma root fungus or something like that that's breaking down the roots. We'll have trees when we get a windstorm that snap in half, but then there's still a stump that's just what? I'm here. What do you want from me? But every tree here was a choice. A lot of them were bad choices, but we do what we can.
It happens.
All right. Well, we never really finished the trivia, and I do have one last question.
Keep going, Josh. Keep going, Josh.
We sort of got off track on that one, but it was a good.
I'm a bit of a distractor. You know that.
I'll just say this is the last one for the sake of time. But black knot produces persistent, expanding galls on prunus twigs. In fact, I've suffered from black knot disease on my plums. Not a fan. Okay. Of that gnarly growth. But what pathogen causes black knot, and what is the diagnostic symptom, and why does pruning time matter with black knot? Anybody?
If you got black knot on your plums, you need to go to the doctor, Josh.
Again.
The later in the episode, the more jokes we tend to get here.
Let's see.
Has anybody experienced black knot before? I'm curious.
I've never even heard of it.
I don't know this one.
Really? Certain trees are more susceptible than others. There's a variety called the AU rosa that I want to get that is highly resistant to black knot, and some of the newer plum varieties.
Is it a fungus?
Deep in my plums.
I don't know. That's the
Deep
question.
down.
Is it a fungus?
Well, I mean, I googled it, so I'm not going to answer that. Ew,
It actually comes from.
hell.
It actually started in the land of Mordor and spread
Across Middle Earth, huh?
across the land. All right, so pruning while it's dormant. Okay, that's good. Very important.
This is nasty, dude.
There's a fungus among us.
A fungus among us.
It's a great Incubus album.
Is that really?
It is a fungus. And does anybody want to talk about black knot? Does anybody know much about it?
No, I don't know enough about this, and I'm really curious. And I hear
It looks like a brisket rub.
First of all, the growth is
that's
gnarly.
one description.
And you need to prune it back while it's dormant and further back.
Oh,
down
that
the
does
branch.
not look. If I saw that on a tree, I would be like, it is.
I had to take out a whole limb of one of my trees because it had a knot like that.
Wow, I don't know that one.
It's disgustingly gnarly.
I'm also
What
really
kind of tree
concerned
was
about
it?
Destin's brisket
It was
now.
a.
Oh, you see that black, that bark, that bark on the brisket,
Definitely clean your tools between prunings. That's a big one. You need to prune back further because there might be spores, a couple inches down the branch. It has a lot to do with the lack of airflow on the tree. So, in other words, if the tree's too densely grown, there's not enough open space. Somebody told me if you can't throw a cat through a tree, you haven't pruned it enough. And I sort of think
That's
about
some
that now.
Josh.
That might be the most South Carolina thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Can't throw a cat through.
If you can't throw a cat through a tree, you're gonna get that black knot.
I just can't imagine. Like, I would have a hard time. If that has claws, that cat will not let you go. I could just be like, anyway, that's for another time. But
people are eating this.
I find a common theme with fungus, right? Lack of airflow, lack of temperature, colder temperatures, and wetness. Those three. You add any two of those three combos, and you're putting yourself at risk. I feel like.
It's funky looking.
Just say this is a really naughty one.
Oh my god! Oh my god, dude!
Yeah, it's very funky looking, dude. It's very funky looking. I'll give you that.
It looks like a burnt marshmallow.
All right, well, that's the end of the trivia because we talked about a lot of these other ones.
That was really informative. Thank you, Josh. Thanks, man.
Can I comment on black knot?
Yeah,
please tell us.
Please, Matt.
I love this disease, and I did a deep dive on it last year to write a new fact sheet on it. What I found was really interesting. It was that there's A, not enough research on it, but B, the extension resources that do exist, there's really not much consensus. All of them had differing information about, especially about which species and cultivars were actually susceptible. And it was to the point at which I was comparing resources, and some would say this cultivar is highly susceptible. And then another resource would say the exact same cultivar is highly resistant.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
weird stuff like that, which is kind of uncommon. But this was one of those cases where even the recommendations of how far down the branch you need to prune to get it out, wild variations from 2 inches to 14 inches or something like that, and everything in between. So I did my best to find all of those resources, dig back to where those recommendations came from, and put it together. But yeah, it's something that definitely is pretty ubiquitous. It's very hard to control. That white material growing on it is really cool. That's not actually the black knot fungus. That's a hyperparasite that grows on the knot.
Whoa!
And you'll see that out in the field. You'll see
hyperparasite. What does that mean?
A fungus that eats another fungus.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah. So there is another native hyperparasite of black knot that does reduce it. And there has been some research on that because it was looked at for biocontrol purposes. The short story there is that it doesn't reduce it enough to make it super worthwhile. But it helps reduce it a little bit. But yeah, this is a tough one to control.
So that is a fungus among us right there.
It is among
technically.
Yes.
It's a humongous fungus among us.
There is a new experimental top secret fungicide that we and others have been working on for a while, and it does seem to control black knot in some anecdotal observations. So we're working on that.
That's really enticing when you said top secret. I was like,
man, where can I break in to get the files on that? That's what I want to know.
Talk to Carrie.
Carrie's cool if you've never met her. She's great.
Oh, you know her. I forget. Y'all all know each other. As soon as I found out, Kevin, y'all all know each other. It's like the Illuminati of plant pathology.
We're actually talking with Carrie and others to maybe do some collabs at her research station. Yeah.
That was sick.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just imagine the top secret formula. You have to type in the key code, and you guys all have the number digits and how to get into the lab.
No. What it is a company owns it. They'll find the answer to it, and then you have to pay a lot of money for it. Is what happens. That is that is why it's top secret.
I was thinking more like dark web, like they'll have to go, anonymously to
No.
a site to find it. But
No, to fix it, it's got to be profitable.
That's true.
It's somebody's gonna make money off of it.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. No, this has been fun. This has been a lot of fun. I really have enjoyed this. We haven't really talked about. I titled this video because I didn't know what all we were going to talk about. The last 2 or 3, I think this is our 3rd New Year's Eve garden party, is what we plan to do in 2026. Like what kind of fruit trees, what things we want to do in 26. So, I mean, maybe tonight when we're closing out, we talk about like, hey, what are our goals in 2026? Like for our, me as a person who's been traveling a lot more for work, have been, focusing on passive fruit, fruit trees that'll settle and grow on their own without me having to water them every single day. But I mean, like we can finish it out with everybody going through like, what are y'all's goals in 2026? So like, what do you want to, do better in 2026, and what trees are you trying to focus on? Maybe we'll start with Vikram because y'all have that new orchard. You're trying to figure out what you're going to do with it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm going to post that one video a few more times. That's my first goal. No,
Tiramisu times 2.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I think is that we're going to, retool and refigure out the orchard. I need to talk to some local growers about getting some stuff in the ground. But yeah, I think we're starting up a like little test orchard.
How about some figs? How about some figs, dude? How about some figs?
Oh no, for sure. Phil and I already messaged about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But do some variety trials, and we're limited a lot of times in the academic space by like what's available funding wise and all that. But I can plant what I want and like do some just fun, some fun
like
testing.
5 acres of fun, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's somewhere in between 1/2 acre and 5 acres where it's no longer fun. It turns into something that's not that. But we're gonna do some of that. I'm gonna do some wildflowers out there. So, but at home, my son's getting more and more interested in gardening, which is exciting. And so,
That's awesome,
he has
dude.
decided he really likes salsa these days, and we made fresh salsa the other day. And he did all the stuff, and he ran the blender and did all the things. And so this coming year, he wants to grow a full salsa garden and grow his own salsa. And we'll get into like, how do you can it and preserve it and roast it and all those things. And so doing some larger scale stuff, but then also some fun home gardening too.
Right.
That's so exciting, dude. That's exciting for you because like you're mostly like reactionary like content, So I look forward to, because you are so good at shooting content. Like it's underestimated. Like you're gonna be really good at that. So I'm excited to see that, dude.
Well, thanks. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Fantastic, yo. Mr. Phil. Besides figs, what are you excited to plant in 2026, dude?
I want to expand my raised beds, certainly, because mine are. I'm hitting a wall with some of them. I mean, the 2025 has been a year of me really growing stuff from seed and seeing how it went for me in that realm. Propagation was fun. 2025, like expanding my food forest, and so there's a few pieces to it because I'm also just looking at land myself to try to find something to get trees in the ground on a larger scale, which would be really sick. And that's kind of ruminating in the background. It's like the first or second time I brought that up. But in the forefront, something that I learned, growing from seed things this year and my plants, is just applying a little more fertilizer and permaculture stuff for the soil and feeding my plants more has done wonders. And I really want to get those dialed in as I planted a bunch of cool citrus, Asian pears, and some other varieties in the ground, and they're starting to actually grow. I want to make sure I'm getting some yields from them outside of figs. Figs I'm dialed, and it never gets old. Every year I think maybe I'll take a break, and then I get so excited for this time of year of figs. It's just an extension of me at this point, and I'm ready to take that into getting some land at some point when it's feasible and it's close by. And so I'm waiting for that opportunity to strike. But definitely the permaculture and fertilization world after growing stuff from seeds and seeing the asset it is to the plants. Did we lose Destin?
He's gone. He's done with this.
All right,
I'm out.
I'll take over.
Go
Matt,
for it, Josh. What about
Matt,
you? Oh,
what do
Matt,
you-
yeah.
Matt, what do you got growing, and what are you looking to grow more of or less of in the coming year?
Well, I live in hot, steamy South Carolina, so I decided to challenge myself and put in a Mediterranean garden to see if it was possible. So that's what I've been working on for the past year here at home. I've got a dozen lavender cultivars, a dozen rosemary, throwing in roses, Italian cypress, all the wrong things to put in a garden here. Because I want to see what's possible. I want to see what I can manipulate and what will just be a futile effort. So that's been fun. Garden was beautiful this year. I've had a couple of lavenders die from Phytophthora as expected, but overall, I like to have a non-conventional attempt at things. But my main goal is to learn about hedges. I firmly believe that hedges are vastly underutilized, and I just everywhere I go, I see opportunity for hedges to not only add value to people's properties, but I see an enormous area of work to be done in figuring out which species, especially native species, maybe some fruit species, we can grow as hedges here in North America. So that's what I want to work on this year. Hedges and sure, that will include some boxwood, warning, but yeah, non-conventional hedges is my goal for 2026. Tapestry hedges, mixed hedges. We'll see where it takes us.
Mixed hedges. No, sorry about that. My dog, the fireworks are going off, and my dog freaks out. There's not enough CBD treats in the world to make him chill out. He will eat. I've shown a video where he's eating through a wall, and he will do it again if I don't. Yeah. So no,
well, that's awesome, man.
Yes,
I'm excited to keep posted on your Mediterranean garden just because I'm partial to that part of the world and the things you grow there. I mean, I have 3 olive trees that grown in containers even, and I'm zone 8B that have made it. So I'm like always intrigued to see what's thriving and what'll bounce back. So whatever's working for you, man, I'll get some of those cypress. That'd be sick if it does well for you.
All right.
A quick question for Matt. I know we're getting towards the end, but so I've come into the green industry like in June, and I've been a nursery person for a while now, and I've noticed the shift to native plants. Have y'all seen a lot of that in the last year or so? People buying more native plants, like the seasonal color is kind of like shut off, and people are doing more native stuff. Is that what you are seeing in the industry on y'all's end?
It's really interesting. To be fair, I don't have a great glimpse of that because we do not inform on people's planting habits. We are really in it for the care.
Yeah.
So in most cases, I am not there at the point at which people are deciding what to plant. But I really, really wish we were, because my goodness, that would make things way easier for everybody. I see Nyssa growing in popularity as a native that has, wildlife benefits, great fall color, relatively few pest issues. So trees like that, I'm starting to, put lists together for different regions and figure out what we can recommend to people when they're asking. And yeah, the idea of functional landscaping is definitely something that people are asking more about, which is good. So trying to figure out what people are prioritizing, whether that's, okay, why do you want a native plant? Oh, I want to feed the birds. Aha. Now we can have a more directed conversation. Or I want a native plant because I want to feed the native bees, So I love those kinds of curiosities and questions and people asking the right things. But there's a lot of Norway maples up north, and there's a lot of Bradford pears in Colorado, and there's always weird stuff. So
yeah,
still some of the old standbys.
Oh, for sure. No, it's been a weird year. I feel like 2025 has been a weird year, green industry wise. Like for certain things, it's the native stuff and the seasonal color is kind of almost dead at this point here, especially in Texas. Like it's not there anymore. So
trends are a thing. Yeah,
that's true. Well, it seems like the newer generation is they want to plant it one time, they want to water it every once in a while, and they want to leave it alone. You know, it makes sense. So, Mr. Yosh, my last one to sign off.
Yeah. I'll go here. First of all, I would hedge my bet that your Mediterranean garden is going to do well. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I was listening, so I heard about that. I love that.
This is Freddie, my new cat, by the way. Speaking of cats, so he's
how many legs does he have?
He's a tripod, and we rescued him. He had a broken leg, and the leg didn't make it, but he did. That's what matters. But besides saving cats, which is a big part of my hobbies with my wife and I, because we do a lot of TNR, I have 50 or 60 or 70 plants in pots I need to do something with, literally. And I'm out of space. So now I'm in this habit of like, who can I give this plant to that I could later go get some fruit from it, that I have a good enough relationship with that person.
That's a great idea.
And expand the food forest into other people's towns. And Matt's got a big finger pointing at him. Oh, it's
exactly. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll plant like 50 persimmon seeds, and then like 40 of them come up. Like, now what am I going to do with 40 persimmon trees? Okay, I'll try to graft some of them. 30 of them make it. Now I've got 30 trees I got to do something with. So I've sort of got a problem I created and didn't really know what to do with. But we have a community garden, so I'm going to be helping grow the mini orchard at the community garden. And really my goal this year is to learn more. One of the things that I've struggled with is I keep sharing stuff I already know, and I really want to like expand my own horizon. So I'm going to be getting into some more like permaculture design classes, understanding a little bit more about regenerative agriculture, and expanding my viewpoint beyond just traditional, orchardist type stuff into these different practices and how I can implement it. Because historically I've done a lot of, companion planting and, hugelculture stuff, but I really want to get into more like, swales and like food forests and what do they call when you group them together, the fruit trees in a guild, fruit tree guilds. So I really want to learn more about those concepts this year. So that's my goal, is to learn. And if anybody watching wants to give me a greenhouse, I will be glad to do as many videos on it.
Well, I was going to say, spoiler alert, are you going to Costa Rica?
I am going to Costa Rica in a couple of weeks. And it has a lot to do with that. So I'm going to be learning.
Don't piss off the government. Just don't piss off the government right there.
I'm going to be visiting a regenerative farm there that's growing all kinds of tropical fruit. I'm really excited about learning how they do that.
Oh, that's super cool.
He's sick.
Yeah. Yes. Are you going to go see him?
Yeah. And I think I might visit the guy that came on a couple episodes ago.
Steven, right?
Steven, yeah.
That was a wild episode. If you have not watched that episode, go back. The dude was like, while we're on the podcast, walked out on the front porch, grabbed a cacao and like smashed it and like was eating it on the podcast.
Grabbed a tortilla, like grabbed some durian. We were like, what?
Might be the wildest dude I've ever met online. Like, that was wild.
Which is saying a lot, because you've met a lot of people through the years with this podcast. So
he's top three for sure. Definitely top three. Steven was insane. But yes, no, that was a lot of fun. Hey, Josh, just buy a greenhouse and write it off, dude. For the end of the years, buy it tomorrow. Write it off, dude.
I do have some fun new fruits growing that I'm really excited about tasting. Gummy berries this year. I've got a row of honey berries. I haven't tasted that.
Honey berries seem really cool, and then just what's cool, I think, what you mentioned this too, the honey berries, is it's filling a time slot of the year early on that everything else happens later.
Exactly. Bush cherries are really early too. I've got some bush cherries. So I'm curious to see some of the fruits that haven't come in yet. My pawpaws are just starting to flower. So, this coming year I'll probably get fruit. So we'll see. We'll see what's coming in.
Well, I feel like we're yin and yang, because like I am looking forward, like next year, I'm going to be so focused on, I'm going to do a video about this, buying a lot of native plants, things that I have a greenhouse. I have multiple greenhouses, but I just am running. I'm so tired of moving stuff in and out. And so if I get the native stuff, I don't have to do that, you know? And if it dies, whatever, you know, that was just a good thought. You know, so like I'm thinking about native stuff and cold tolerant stuff that I don't have to bring inside the greenhouse based on the last 2 or 3 weeks where I've been moving so much stuff in the greenhouse. So
There you go.
yeah. But guys, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Hey, make sure y'all follow Matt. I didn't have your Instagram, but I'll make sure to put it on. I'll go back and put it on the YouTube with your actual Instagram. So I just had the Bartlett one on there.
Yeah,
I'll add it
I'm
up.
not super active, but hey, y'all may have inspired me to get back into it.
Dude. Hey, ABC, always be content, dude. If you're traveling, might as well be, dude. Come on.
That's right.
But you can follow Matt at Matt_Borden and follow what is the Bartlett one?
I think it's
Living
Life at Bartlett.
Life at Bartlett. I put that one in there. I'll put yours as well. Make sure to follow Uncle Josh, the plant techie everywhere. Make sure to follow the plant prof everywhere. Make sure to follow Phil's Figs. He's got cuttings for sale right now at philsfigs.com. He wants to give you his cuttings so bad right now.
So bad. I just ordered 12 more rolls of parafilm tape.
Ooh. Hey, I found the wider tape too. It's nice.
It's on the 1 inch. Yeah, I ordered 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Man, I was like waking up in the morning, like my hands are sore from rapid cutting tops. But I'm like, and then I go, but it's just breaking up the lactic acid and just getting back into shape, propagation shape. Here we go.
Yeah, man. It's all about the girth, dude. Happy New Year. We'll see y'all in 2026. Thank y'all so much for being here. Don't hang up yet, guys. Let me in the studio, in the stream real quick, and we'll come right back. See y'all.
This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The garden party.